about the XFL for those listening to us.
See, but ABC covers a lot of. Let's see, don't they cover a lot of college basketball, or is it CBS?
They cover all kind of sports.
Like CBS, I realize
the worldwide leader in sports.
I do realize
I'm
that.
glad you asked, JP. What is the XFL? The XFL is the new football league. And
is
it's not college, it's
is that
professional.
the ship you want to sail on, Terry?
It's a professional
new football
league.
It's a
listen,
growing up football league.
JP, I'll explain it to you. High school, college football, pro, right? All right, do you understand that succession? Right.
Yeah,
So,
I bet he cannot say it back to you.
in college, they don't pay the players. In college, they don't pay the players. So this is a league for players that are that have graduated, or they don't even have to graduate high school. Players over 18 years old can be paid to play football, but they're not quite good enough to be in the NFL. So instead of going to college, they're getting paid. And I'm going to break it down for you. We talked the pay yesterday, didn't we, Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The base salary is $27,000 a year. Base. Okay?
That's not including
for
incentives.
every contract. So the way the incentives work, roster bonuses, starting bonuses, and wins. So the more you win, the more you get paid. So those are the bottom basement prices of $27,000 plus incentives. The bottom contract, if you go 5-5, ends up being about $50-something thousand a year. Now, at $27,000, that's before you win a game. So you can lose every game, you cannot start, and you can just barely make the roster for $27,000 a year. That right there, UNC Charlotte in-state tuition is $6,400. So 1 year of playing in the XFL could buy you tuition at Charlotte for 4 years in state. That's when you talk about the value in money, that's the things you got to these kids will end up thinking about. And that's losing every game in the XFL. That's not even starting. So the worst player on the worst team playing 1 year in the XFL who's living in North Carolina could make enough money, still live with your parents, make enough money to pay for 4 years at UNC Charlotte. That's just an idea of what you could do. Now, that, of course, Duke is more, Carolina more, but the community colleges are way less. So what we're saying is that, JP, there's other options for the kids once they've graduated. Now, what if you're a running back, you've played 1 year in college? Hey, I'd rather make what Vince McMahon sees these college freshmen, Claret. Let's look at him. After a year, Vince McMahon just called Claret and be like, I'll give you $2 million. And he can go play for Vince McMahon.
I thought the top was $500,000.
That's the base thing, but they can there's no actual Vince
There's
McMahon
no
owns
salary cap.
Okay.
So he could offer Drew Brees next year $200 million if he wanted.
Okay.
See what I mean? The high end base is the $500,000. Remember the incentives and stuff, so that he can sign them pretty much. There's no cap.
I was just thinking that, Terry, and you can relate, that's one of the jobs we'd actually take a pay cut from our teaching jobs for if we quit teaching and went to the XFL.
And we could go out there and get our
27
concussions.
grand. Really? Is that all you're going to pay a guy for risking his life? Is 27 grand?
Yep.
Surely he's worth more than that.
Well,
Wait.
Are high school players risking their lives?
Yeah, I mean, but still, you're on a professional level.
So all you get for risking your life in high school is a GED.
Professional level, but let's not act like they don't just get peanuts and a bus ticket when they play single A baseball.
Yeah,
right? I mean, you're asking a guy to play single A.
Minor league.
Yeah, minor league. It's a minor league.
The risk to your life is not.
I don't think they care. Like when you're at that level for playing sports, you're just happy that you can play a sport for a living. But even then, at this level, they're not working a second job.
The question is, would you rather play
unless they wanted to?
Would you rather play in the XFL?
We got single A baseball players going to bag groceries and then going to play a baseball later that afternoon.
That's because they only get paid for the time that they are
playing the sport. Would you rather work in the XFL or work at Walmart? Would you rather, be on TV? Not only if you're saying for your XFL, social media value. There's a lot of different value sponsorships. So there's other things like that to look at as well.
They do allow. I just want to make sure I heard you right. They do allow 18-year-olds in the XFL. You can be 18 years. Are there any 18-year-olds playing now?
No.
Okay. No. Okay, I didn't think.
Not yet.
But he will allow that. He'll let you come right.
Oliver Luck said he's not against it.
Well, they're going to allow that.
I said the Clarets, the running backs. Why? Let's say Tom, you're one of the highest rated, let's say, recruited running backs in the nation. and then something happens with, say, your SAT scores or whatever, and you can't get in the big power schools or whatever it is, you have to go to TO. TO would go to the XFL instead of UT Chattanooga. Randy Moss might go to the XFL instead of UT Chattanooga. There's going to be some players that will have that option that would do that.
I was just about to say that if you don't have the grades and SAT scores to get into the big schools, then you go play XFL. That actually does make sense.
That's why I had a buddy, instead of going to college for baseball, he went straight. I mean, he was a first round pick. It was Hunter Harvey. He just didn't have the grades, and he really didn't have the drive to want to even go and play college baseball. So, or what did he do? He went to the draft and was drafted and did obviously his minor league stint, but it would be the same thing here with the XFL. If you don't have, one, the grades, or two, the drive to go and play college, have to go and sit in class for, 6 to 7 months and just not even care, knowing, I'm just doing my due diligence, and then taking somebody else's scholarship. What's the difference about instead of just going and getting paid I know you're just going to say the $27,000, but that's $27,000 more than he had.
And do I want to go to the gym, or do I want to go to history class and listen to Tom tell me about the East German judges in the Olympics?
My history class is actually pretty interesting.
Have y'all went over the East German judges in the Olympics?
We go over lots of cool stuff in my class. So I'd say my class isn't bad.
Hunter needs to sign up and hear about Stan Musial.
I don't know if I'd give up $27,000 to come to it, but I can understand it. I guess the point I was going to make is,
would you rather be a high school teacher?
School is
or a football player?
Then go out in the XFL and get killed.
I'm talking about when you're 20 or 22 years old. That's what you got to think about too. We're 21 or 19, whatever. There's a lot of variables to it.
When I was 21 or 22, I would have done it.
That's what we're talking about.
Let's go get myself killed.
And see, what you got to remember too is, like we just said, that's base. That's not including, game check for being able to even show up to the game, playing in the game, wins. That's the same thing they do in racing. They get a dang bonus for winning a race, and it's not small. Those bonuses are huge.
I'd really like to see if it's going to be, you talk about blah, 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 all this stuff. Is it going to be financially viable to keep? Because that's what happened to the AAF, right? Yeah. It started out. And I actually watched a couple of those games. Is it financially viable to where it can make it?
So what Hunter brought up about Vince McMahon was what he's talking about earlier, is that last year it wasn't backed with capital. It was backed with, we're going to make money off selling tickets and selling merchandise. And that's going to be
money up front.
He's got basically, I think they're going to get at least 2, maybe 3 years just off of just straight base, just his money off the first few years. There's a lot of money he's put into it. For it to get to be successful. The fact that ABC, Fox, and FS1 and all them are putting it on it, he's making those type of deals. It's not on some of these. You can't. The NCAA tournament's going to be on True TV, wherever that is, and TBS.
That's every year.
And things like that.
And see, and we made this comparison when we were doing.
Real quick. You want to talk about the Hornets?
Yeah, this is what you were going to say.
I have watched this year now on TV more XFL games than Charlotte Hornet games.
Don't they still come on like what used to be Channel 18? Mm-hmm. The Hornets are 46. The Hornets come on 46.
They don't come on regular TV.
No. There's got to be Fox Sports South.
Mm-hmm. And you watch them every day.
That's right. They're not. I got them. Because I remember back in the day they were on like.
If you don't
remember Channel
have
18? They used to come on Channel 18.
They used to be on a. They used to be. They used to have to be on a local channel, and then they started doing the. And then the Hornets sold out for the first 10 years, so there was no blackouts or any type of rules like that.
Right, I remember that.
And then once the Bobcat stuff come back, they got blackout rules, and they never got a good TV. I don't understand why the Bobcats weren't on BET. That should have been the guy that owned the Hornets. The Bulls were on WGN. Everybody in America should have been watching Bobcats games on BET, and they weren't. Yeah. And so the ABC, Fox, FS1, I think that's big for them.
Because see, those are big name networks that a lot of people get with base package deals when they have whether it's cable or they have
YouTube
Dish,
TV,
YouTube, whereas when it came to the AAF, they were on CBS Sports or something, a smaller network that did sports, so it wasn't as accessible for people to just sit down and watch. They have their own streaming things. You can pull it up on your phone. The AAF didn't have gambling. This has got gambling. They have actual lines coming out of Las Vegas.
They wouldn't let you bet on the AAF? I did not know that. That was a mistake they made.
And if they did, it wasn't as big as what this.
Terry, this is the perfect gambling
It was not as
opportunity.
publicized as the XFL because I don't know if you noticed, but during the broadcast, down at the bottom, they have the betting line. They have the over/under, and they have who's favored
on the TV.
Yeah. On the TV. On the TV. Because they know that's what
we're not encouraging Daddy to blow the college savings.
Look,
on
that's what they know is going to drive sports really for a long time is gambling.
What happened to like FanDuel and all that? I
guess
still going. But you don't see it advertised as much. I guess they don't need to advertise as much anymore.
I think they got cracked down on really whenever they had that lawsuit come against them up in New York for FanDuel.
Yeah, I know it was something like that.
Yeah, so that's probably why we really don't see
DraftKings.
DraftKings, they don't run like a lot of commercials for, but DraftKings does a lot of sponsorships. Like this segment is brought to you by DraftKings here on NFL Today.
I just can't get into that.
Terry,
people love it.
3 of the 4 XFL games drew higher TV ratings than any NBA and college basketball game last week.
Really?
3 of the 4 XFL games drew better ratings than everything.
It was the first one. People were curious. People wanted to see.
3 out of 4 drew better ratings than all the NBA and all the college basketball games.
I'm just going to know better than that because Duke and Carolina played, and they drew better ratings than any of them.
Not those 3 games, Terry.
Yeah, they did.
I'm looking at them.
Terry the doubter. Fake news, right, Terry? It's fake news.
Fake news. Fake as
I don't know about that, though, because think about it. Not many people probably thought North Carolina would be in that game, so they might have not tuned in. Look, and it's still this. The XFL, where it is right now, where it is on the calendar, will always have better ratings than a regular season basketball NBA game. Than a regular season NBA game.
Unless it's the Lakers playing the Clippers or something like that. I think it may have.
Yeah, but most of those are like, NBA Friday nights or NBA Wednesday nights?
Like that, yeah,
and this is what's so nice about this, too. When March Madness comes up, when do most of the games get played for March Madness? They play them during the week.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
No, they don't. They play them on Saturday and Sunday.
Thursday,
Friday, they play them Thursdays and Fridays and maybe Saturdays and Sundays.
All day.
No, not maybe. They do play on Saturday and Sunday.
All day.
Yeah,
all day. First 2 weeks.
It's
played all day on Saturday, all day on Sunday.
That's right. It is.
And Thursday and Friday all day.
Yep.
And people fill out their brackets.
They will not be able to match that anywhere.
Terry, yes, they will. Because
no, they won't.
In each individual game, yes, because they're on 4 different stations. I can't watch 4 stations at once. I can watch a football game at once. I'm not watching St. Mary's versus whatever in the first 2 rounds. I'm one of the people that don't care about the 12 versus 5 upset because what we're talking about is the number 48 team beating the number 20 team, right? Times 4,
right?
5 versus 12. We don't never break it down 48 versus 12 in football at any point.
And the XFL ends
48 versus 20.
XFL ends right when the NFL draft is starting to come up. So it's time for NFL season.
It ends,
and opening weekend for baseball had already started a few weeks prior, and nobody cares literally about the first 2 weeks of baseball.
There you go.
So I think
congratulations to y'all fans.
XFL championship is the Sunday of the NFL draft weekend.
So I think what McMahon is doing is the opposite of what Donald Trump did when he owned the Generals. Donald Trump, we're going to take on the NFL.
That's exactly
and he's doing the opposite, saying we're going to stay out of the way of the NFL.
They're taking on college, really.
Because we kind of know our role, and we're going to stay out of that. And that's going to be the key to the success.
Oliver Luck came out and said this on Colin Cowherd's show a few weeks ago because Colin asked him, he said, why did you choose this time? He said, because this is a downtime in sports for a lot of people. It's the awkward space between the start of baseball season. It's not quite NBA playoffs yet. You still have college basketball that you watch, and football just ended. And there's a little hangover period for a lot of football fans after the Super Bowl's over. They're like, man, the football's over for the year. Just kidding. This coming weekend, football starting back up again for 10 weeks. That's it. For 10 weeks and then playoffs. And then you can go right into your daily televised baseball game and your regional access. You'll have NBA playoffs that you can watch. You'll have March Madness that you can tune into every now and then. And then, it's just football. It's something else for you to watch that really because at 2:30 on a Saturday, there might be, for Terry at least, an ACC basketball game that he wants to watch.
Every week.
Even though the ACC this year, unfortunately, is down and a lot of the games are probably
That's
garbage.
What people say.
But for some people at 2:30, for any that's not an ACC fan or a college basketball fan, it's like, dude, I can watch football today.
Until the warmth starts coming in, then people are going to say, with that, I'm not watching that. I'm out in the sun. Ain't got time to watch no football on television because it's starting.
You said out in the sun. Didn't you guys just say it's over by May?
It's over in April
25th.
It's still going to be warm coming
Terry, not everybody lives in North Carolina.
Yeah, no. April showers bring May flowers, man. It's going to be raining every day.
Put yourself in this is Zachary Evans, the number 1 running back in the nation, is still undecided on where he's going to play in 2020. 5'11", 200 pounds. He's had run-ins with Georgia, whether or not they're going to. He signed an intent, backed out of a letter of intent. He's talked to Texas A&M, Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, and Tennessee. Now, Tom, if you're this kid and you got Tennessee, Georgia, Texas A&M trying to get you to come play running back for 3 years, what if Vince McMahon walks in your living room with $1 million check?
Well, if he comes in with $1 million, that
this is the number 1 recruit. This ain't like a kid that's undecided might not get in school. I'm talking about this kid in particular. You're the number 1 recruit in the nation. You've got 4 schools, and they're wanting you. Remember, you're a running back.
So you're saying if Tom Centofanti actually had any athletic ability, and
you're the number,
an 18-year-old Tom Centofanti was offered $1 million to go play pro ball or go to college ball, I'd go play pro ball. I know I would.
$500,000.
I literally sold my blood for $20. So you know that I'm going to take $1 million check. I would.
What's the lowest on there that you say no to Vince McMahon to?
Well, if
Vince McMahon walks in Vince McMahon walks in like, look, you could play for us and we'll pay you $1 million right here a year, or what is it a year that you would say no to?
I guess the difference is too, and I guess maybe I'm going off on a tangent. Like if I really wanted to be college educated, like if I was like a Steve Young and become a lawyer and all that. I mean, there's like online classes, there's distance. If it doesn't work out, I can go back later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's guys that go to the military for 4 years and say, hey, I'm going to go to college now.
Mm-hmm.
So with all the opportunities, I guess, Kevin, I would take the money. I mean, unless it's like,
where's the line? Because that's where Vince McMahon is going to have to find it at some point.
I would say if it was like 75 or 100,000, I'd still go to school, because, you know, school's gonna.
All right,
school's gonna get you ahead.
Let's say you're 19 years old and your mom makes $20,000 a year, and Vince McMahon's in your living room and says, "Tom, I'm going to give you $100,000 a year," and you say no to it. You think your mom would?
My mother.
What would you? Not just particularly. You're just. That's the situation these kids are gonna be in.
Yeah.
Is turning down $100,000 a year to Vince McMahon while his mom sits here making $20,000.
If it was my mother and I had a chance to go to Ohio State, I'd probably still have to go to Ohio State. But anywhere else, I would probably take the money and help my mother. And I would understand that any of these guys, and if you talk to them, their mother is a big part of their life. They're going to do for their family. I mean, I'd like to say that a lot of these guys are family first guys. So if they can help their families, they're gonna get the money.
You give me $100,000 in 1 year, I can put $50,000 down on a house, use the other $50,000 for education.
It does give you, it gives you options. Now, I mean, college football is a big draw though. You get a chance. You can play in XFL. You can play in front of 10,000 people. You can play in University of Tennessee. There's 110,000 people, and there's only so many opportunities to do that. But as an
I just told you the TV ratings.
Yeah.
Wait. You're talking about 110,000 students at Tennessee and people from Tennessee, or more people on TV across the country. Yeah, this is what we got to look at nowadays. TV is way more important than how many people sit in the stands.
But I guess, Terry, you and I would like this, Terry. Could you imagine like scoring a touchdown, going in there, everybody goes nuts, and the band starts playing? That's got to be like a unique experience that you just can't get anywhere else.
Alabama,
but how much money
for $100,000
is that worth? Right.
When you start talking about Alabama, Clemson, some of your top-notch teams around, the XFL is not going to get you more people to watch you, because those games are going to be on. And
it's
a
about
lot
getting
of people
paid.
are going to be sitting down watching those.
Getting paid and
over
scouts.
The XFL.
It's not about Terry Reinhardt watching me. It's about scouts watching me getting paid.
If you can play, they know who you are. If you can play, they know.
Yes.
I mean, I will say that they know who you are.
Yeah.
Like all these kids think, I got to go here. I got to go here. No.
What advantage would I have going to college? What advantage would I have going instead of being paid in the XFL when I can be paid
long term?
Terry, I'm using
long term for your whole
Terry,
life.
Let me finish the question. I just told you in 1 year in the XFL, you can pay for that same college that you have to go to 3 and work and do and be their employee for free for 3 years. So you can pay for it in 1 or 3 years. So college is saying you can pay for your education in 3 years, and we're XFL saying we'll pay you for it in 1. Why is that bad that we can give you the money and you can pay for your own education, other than make you come to my school and make you come to my classes?
That all depends on where you're going. I mean, if I want to go to UNC Charlotte, okay, you paid for it. But if I'm going somewhere like a Duke and somewhere else, then it's not paid for.
Yeah, but that's the same thing like that. You could get almost political with that when people talk about how that they can't pay off their student loans. It's like, well, you had the decision and you made the choice to go to that school that forced you to get all these loans out.
Right.
Why didn't you not stay within your means and go and get the loan that you think you could pay off? That's the same thing when it comes to school decisions.
3 years or 4 years, whether I'm at, and I get my rookie contract in the NFL, I've paid all of that.
An engineering degree is an engineering degree. It
I
does,
paid it all
whether or
off.
not you get it at UNC Charlotte or NC State, that's your own decision, though.
And it would take me longer than that XFL to pay that off
1
than
year.
1 year in the NFL once I went to college.
All right, Terry. But once you went to the college for 3 years, that doesn't guarantee you a degree. Remember, the NFL doesn't give you a degree, and after 3 years, you don't get a degree.
Year.
So if you do leave early after 3, you still have to go back and get that education and still have to pay for it. Either way, the point there's a financial line that all these guys are going to have to draw, is whether they want to play 3 years or get paid for 3 years, and they can use that money. Like, I can sign an agent. He's going to tell me, we're going to put $50,000 in the bank. There's your college money. The rest of it, let's buy a house, do whatever. And that's at 19 years old, and you've fixed your family possibly on a lot of these kids in a lot of these situations. Get out of a bad neighborhood or something, and that's the decisions that a lot of these people are going to have. This weekend, Hunter, we've got New York at DC.
Mm-hmm.
We got 2 games that could be possible X-Bowl championship previews.
New York and D.C., they're fighting for first in the Eastern Division. They're both at 1-0. The winner of that will sit at 2-0 in the top in the Eastern Division.
We've got Tampa. I'm in Tampa colors today, 2 greens and a yellow. Tampa at the Seattle Dragons. The Dragons look like the East Lincoln Mustangs. Now, both of those teams will be looking for their first victory.
Yes, Tampa Bay and Seattle, as well as Dallas at Los Angeles. Those are the two. That's the sweet. Two games of 0-1 teams. So somebody will be coming out with 1 win. Somebody will be coming out with a loss, because in the XFL they do not accept ties. So somebody will be coming out with a win. It's a long flight for Tampa Bay to go all the way to Seattle. You know, they usually say west going to east. Mm-hmm. It can always be the same, east going to west. Tampa Bay looked horrible. They looked horrible in their week 1 loss. They only scored 3 points. They've made a quarterback change. Aaron Murray is not starting at the quarterback position now for the Vipers, so they will be going to Seattle looking for their first win. Fun fact for you two that may have not known, in the XFL, they came out with over and unders for wins on the season. Who was favored to have the most wins? Tampa Bay was favored with 7.5. The over-under was they had the highest odds to have 7.5 wins. They lost their first game, only scoring 3 points. So that looks like it was a great bet so far.
Tom, I found me a new custom jersey I'm about to buy.
Romo? Dallas Cowboys?
Dallas Renegades.
Oh, my God.
Tony Romo jersey.
Tony Romo's not going to play with the Renegades.
A Dallas Renegades Tony Romo jerseys. I didn't say he's going to play. I'm just going to buy it. What do you mean?
$114?
Right.
I tell you what, if you can afford that, I'm negotiating a higher salary. Kevin, can I have like 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I just wanted to. We're talking about all the kids coming out of high school offers. 2019 Burns football offers and signees. Keywan Pryor's going to Catawba. Had a number of other offers. Xavier Jennings going to Lenore-Rhine. KJ Leslie's going to North Carolina A&T. Landon Hoyle might go to Presbyterian or Davidson because offers from both. Brack Bivens offered by Brevard, Wesleyan, and Methodist. Austin Setzer is East Carolina preferred walk-on. C.J. Hopper going to Guilford College. Nick Jackson is going to Waynesburg University. That's in Pennsylvania. Jaquan Degree is, hopefully I'm saying this right, Rama Junior Academy. And Tysheem Goodson, North Carolina Wesleyan. So a number of Burns Bulldogs going on to play at the next level. Great job for those guys. Congratulations, and great job to Coach Devine Coach Beaver sent me that list. Thank you. So they had their awards banquet the other day. A lot of those guys going on to play at the next level. So good job this year.
So I was watching a guy that was talking about this XFL the other day that kind of has interviewed and talked to McMahon a lot about this stuff, and he thinks he's got a feel on how he acts and stuff, and he thinks in about 3 years, if they get to 3 years, he's going to start trying to sign some of the players, say, that may be retiring, like a Drew Brees, a Tony Romo. That's why I was bringing that up.
Why would Drew Brees go play XFL?
Tom, just hold on a sec.
Okay.
Money. This is ungodly.
Let me take a cut.
No, Terry. It wouldn't be a cut. Right now, Tony Romo is getting paid $10 million a year for CBS. If Vince McMahon comes in and says, "I'll give you 20," how is that a pay cut? And he can still do the NFL games, because then he would be making
2 different seasons,
$30 million a year. Then he can still do golf.
2 different seasons.
How much money do you need?
Well, that's the same question.
As soon as Coach K retires, we'll answer that question.
Yeah. Same thing as when they buy a house.
How much
and I'm
money
going to put it to you like
need?
this, because they showed a house that Brett Favre lives in.
Mm-hmm.
And you talking about people who knew what they had. I know, don't get me wrong, Brett Favre owns a lot of land.
Yeah.
But his house, $325,000. Not no $1 million houses that he's never going to use. He owns a $325,000 brick house. And, you know, and I sat back and I'm like, that man right there was smart. He knew he wasn't needing no $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million house to live in.
Where's he live? Mississippi.
Yeah.
If he lived in L.A., that would be a $30 million house.
But he doesn't. But I'm saying, if somebody cut me a check for $1 million today for anything, I'm quitting all my jobs except for this one. This is going to be my job. All my other jobs I'm quitting.
Yep.
I'm going to do this job, and I'm just going to.
Yeah, but how much?
Why do you need?
We ask that question all the time, and yet they're writing checks to Mike Trout for $400 million. How much money is more money?
You're only going to live so long.
They don't care.
You're only going to live so long. You're either going to A, waste it and go broke like a lot of guys, B, die and leave it to somebody who's going to waste it because they didn't earn it. What's the point? I mean, I hate to quote for